Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar is about open data sources. Joe will be taking you through how to find, access, and use open data sources. For us, the three key takeaways will be where they are, how do you use them, and web scraping. This should help clear up the belief that sort of collecting big data sets is tough. This simply isn't the case. There are thousands of free data sets out there and available online, ready for you to analyze, visualize, and use with your own data. My name is Dom.
And I'm Joey.
We work for a company called Kabula. Kabula is a data operating system. So that's sort of a data management as a service. So we offer you the architecture, the integration, the preparation, the governance, all built in and maintained, ready for you and your developers and analysts to work together. Now for a bit of housekeeping. It's going to take about 15 minutes for the webinar. Please send in your questions via email. We'll be replying to them and send you a copy of the webinar out at the end of the day. Thank you very much. Okay, Joe, over to you.
Thank you, Don. Hello, welcome to episode 7. Today we're going to talk about open data sources. Most people believe that collecting big data would be a rough thing, but it's simply not true. There are thousands of free data sets available online, ready to be analyzed and visualized by anyone. Open data is the idea that some data should be freely available to everyone to use and republish as they wish, without restrictions from copyright, patents, and other mechanisms of control. The debate on open data is still evolving. The best open government application seeks to empower citizens to help small businesses or to create value in some other positive and constructive way. Opening government data is only a waypoint on the road to improving education, improving government, and building tools to solve other real-world problems. Many organizations are part of this movement and publish data sets for public use, including Gallup, 538, International Monetary Fund, UNICEF, US Departments of Transportation, and HubSpot. Now the question is, where are these data sets and how can we find them? I would like to talk about a few examples. UNICEF provides data related to sustainable development, school completion rates, net attendance rates, literacy rates, and more. This website is a gateway to reliable and open data, and analysis on the situation of children and women worldwide. Smart demand, supply, and use of data drives better results for children. When the right data are in the right hands at the right time, decisions can be made informed. More equitable and more likely to protect children's rights. UNICEF maintains a series of global databases for tracking the situation of children and women globally. The databases include only statistically sound and nationally representative data from household surveys and other sources. They are updated annually through a process that draws on a wealth of data maintained by UNICEF's network of 140 country offices. The next one is healthdata.gov. What you can find here is high-value health data for entrepreneurs, researchers, and policymakers. This includes data on Medicaid, Medicare, clinical studies, and treatments. The data is collected and supplied from agencies from the US Departments of Health and Human Services, as well as state partners. The third one here is the open data sets published by United States FDA. This database includes drug approvals data and therapeutic evaluations for approved multi-source prescription drug products. To find the data sets you need, you can make use of various kinds of search engines. One of the most popular ones is, of course, Google's dataset search. In today's world, scientists in many disciplines and a growing number of journalists live and breathe data. There are many thousands of data repositories on the web, providing access to millions of data sets, and local and national governments around the world publish their data as well. To enable easy access to these data, Google launched Dataset Search so that scientists, data journalists, data geeks, or anyone else can find the data required for their work and their stories, or simply to satisfy their intellectual curiosity. Similar to how Google Scholar works, Data Search lets you find data sets wherever they're posted, whether it's a publisher's site, a digital library, or an author's personal webpage. Then the next question is how to use them. One way to use these open datasets is to use them as training datasets for machine learning. One example is for image processing. Data collection and labeling from machine learning is very time-consuming and expensive. The images here are from SVHN, which stands for Street View House Numbers. SVHN is a real-world image dataset for developing machine learning and object recognition algorithms with minimal requirements on data preprocessing and formatting. These are the original variable resolution color house number images with character level bounding boxes. Another example here is published by IMDb. The dataset is movie reviews data labeled with sentiment indicator. You can use the datasets to train your NLP models. Last but not least, the most flexible way to collect public data is through web scraping. There are several ways to extract information from the web. Use of APIs being probably the best way to extract data from a website. Almost all large websites like Twitter, Facebook, Google, Stack Overflow provides APIs to access your data in a more structured manner. If you can get what you need through an API, it is almost always preferred approach over web scraping. This is because if you're getting access to structured data from the provider, why would you want to create an engine to extract the same information? Sadly, not all websites provide an API. Some do it because they do not want the readers to extract huge information in a structured way, while others don't provide APIs due to lack of technical knowledge. What do you do in these cases? We need to scrape the website to fetch the information. Web scraping is the process of automatically mining data or collecting information from the World Wide Web. Web scraping is used for context scraping and also as a component of applications used for web indexing, web mining, online price change monitoring, product review scraping, and tracking online presence. Now let's talk about a few examples of how you can use web scraping in your business processes. Email addresses and phone numbers can be scraped from business directory or social media websites for lead generation purposes. Product reviews and ratings data on third-party websites can be scraped to help companies monitor their brands. You can also scrape data of competitors' product offerings as well as their prices to refine your marketing strategies. However, while doing web scraping, it's important to beware of the online courtesy. Also, there are methods that some websites use to prevent web scraping, such as detecting and disabling bots from crawling their pages. That's it for today about open data sources. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you very much for that, Joey, and thank you for all listening in. If you have got any questions, please email them in. We'll be sending out copies of this webinar with the answers to them. But in addition to that, if there's any future topics you'd like to hear in one of our webinars, please follow up with suggestions in an email. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.